The G7's in town, down in Hiroshima, for episode 100. 100. I can't believe I got it to triple figures. So, to celebrate my 100th episode, Zelensky's in town. And here he is. Nope. Not on here. He racked up in Hiroshima at 3:30 on yesterday afternoon. He was supposed to be coming in on a Zoom call just to get the backing, and he decided to fly in and make an appearance. The G7. Now, what is the G7? For them of you that are in the know, we've got Canada, Germany, UK, France, Italy. Now, very white countries, so Japan's allowed to come in. The USA, obviously, they're always there crashing the party. And as a kind of black sheep of the family, we've got the EU in as well. After we kicked Russia out, because Russia were in, and then when they didn't invade Crimea because they were already there, weren't they? When the Russians decided enough is enough, when the Americans kicked out their pro-Russian government, they decided to go outside the barracks and say, right, this place is full of Russians, we're just going to take it back. And they didn't like that, so they kicked Russia out. And they've been out in cold since then. But yeah, so you've got 7 leaders of these major countries that have come into Japan, down in Hiroshima, for 3 days, just to discuss how they can fuck the rest of the world up and make our lives fucking worse. Now, with Zelensky coming in, he got on plane. I don't know if he got on plane. I think he must have gotten on in Paris because it's a French plane. Now, Macron has given him all the bells and whistles for this plane, but he had to have a stop off in Saudi Arabia. I'm sure you can fly non-stop from France or wherever you are in Europe to Japan without having to stop off. And why would you stop off in Saudi Arabia? Unless he went in to speak to Mohammed bin Salman, MBS. Unless he's gone in to see him and he's getting in bed with him, I'm not sure. But he's here now. And he's going round the G7 leaders so they can high-five him, and then these leaders can get their photographs taken with him. And he met up with Modi. Modi is the Indian Prime Minister, which I think would have been a bit fucking awkward, because Modi is a bit pally with Putin. So I don't know how that would have gone, because India have decided to stay neutral. I'm dropping my paper here. India have decided to stay neutral with that. So I've no idea how that would have gone. And now I think, as what we're in Sunday afternoon now, he must have met up with the big hitters. I've not had a look at the news yet, but yeah, he'll be meeting up with the rest of them. He's been on with Sunak, my home country's unelected Prime Minister. He's had a meeting with him. I don't know what's been going on there. I don't know what they would have talked about. So I think he's gonna stay here until it's time to go back. So what I want to talk to you about today with this thing is Zelensky's coming. Now, the G7 is in a different country every year. So it'll be in Canada, in one of these 7 countries. And now it's Japan. So Japan is the only country in the world that has been nuked. And it was nuked twice. Now, since the location was picked after Russia invaded, I'm kind of thinking this has been a pick that has been picked for a certain reason. The last time the G7 was here, they were up in this fucking 5-star hotel in the middle of fucking nowhere, up in Hokkaido. Beautiful views and everything, beautiful views. So Mr. Kishida, the Japanese Prime Minister, he could have chosen Tokyo, Yokohama, could have gone down to Nagoya because the expo's going to be on there, could have gone anywhere. But they've chosen one of the 2 cities that were flattened by the Americans in 1945. Now, I think the reason it's been chosen is Kiev's probably going to get flattened by a nuke very soon. I don't think it's going to take... It doesn't take a brain surgeon to know that that is going to happen soon. Now, with Hiroshima, let me give you some history of Hiroshima. Hiroshima is down to the west of the country. It's, if you go west from Osaka, it's just down there. Now, it's a tiny town. It's a tiny town. You think of these cities in Japan that have got these huge populations. Tokyo, Osaka, Yokohama, Hokkaido, huge populations. Hiroshima is the 8th largest city in Japan. The 8th largest city in Japan. So it's not even important. It's not even an important city. To give you the level of importance, if you were looking at England or the UK, the 8th largest city in the UK is my hometown, Bradford. So it would be like Mr. Sunak having the G7 in England and having it in Bradford. Just let that sink in. You've got a G7 summit. The 7 most powerful leaders in the world are coming to the UK for the G7 summit, and we're having it in fucking Bradford. Now, Hiroshima is not as chavvy, rednecky as Bradford, but it's the 8th largest city in Japan. Now, on the 6th of August, the Americans took off with a nuclear bomb in the bay of the bomber. It had Little Boy in there and set off to bomb a different city. But that city had cloud cover, so they turned it round and they headed off to Hiroshima. And they dropped Little Boy on Hiroshima on the 6th of August 1945. It wiped out 120,000 civilians and 20,000 soldiers in one sitting. And then you think of all the people that it got rid of after, you know, with all those cancer sufferers and shit like that. So yeah, Hiroshima was the first one to get bombed. And then Emperor Hirohito up in Tokyo is going, oh fuck, but fuck it, we're not surrendering. So 3 days later, they were supposed to go bomb Kagoshima in Kyushu, which is the southern city in Kyushu. But again, cloud cover. So they went further up the coast to Nagasaki, flattened Nagasaki 3 days later with the Fat Man. The Fat Man were dropped on Nagasaki. Now, this was the first time that the world had experienced nuclear war or nuclear bombs, and the powers that be in Tokyo were like, fuck me. Because they were bombing these cities so that the Americans could land easily and then work their way up the country. Now, Kyoto had been chosen, but I think the Secretary of War, Henry, Shipman, I remember his name was definitely Henry. Now, Kyoto is a stunning city. It's like walking around a museum. It's stunning. The only reason that city didn't get flattened was because the Secretary of War had honeymoon there when he first got married. He'd gone over from America and he'd honeymooned in Kyoto. And obviously he'd bust so many nuts in that city into his wife, and he'd walked around the city and soaked it all in, that he convinced the generals and the politicians back in Washington, do not bomb Kyoto. So these fucking shitty cities at the time, like these forgettable cities like Hiroshima and Nagasaki, they were bombed. And I think they were going to work their way up to Tokyo. And then, seeing the devastation, Emperor Hirohito came to the table and signed off on it, signed off on the surrender. And the Americans have been here ever since. So Japan is the only country in the world that's been bombed, and America is the only country in the world that has nuked anybody. Now, Zelensky has come here. Everybody were thinking he might come, so let's have it in Hiroshima, so then he can understand what will be awaiting him if he don't fight back. Or if he does fight back, I don't know what message they're trying to send to him. Anyway, it was a last minute thing, and he's decided to turn up. So he's arrived, and they're having the G7 summit in the Grand Prince Hotel, which is to the south of the city. Now, the fucking mistake they've made there is you cannot see the town hall from that hotel. Now, the town hall in Hiroshima is from the 1940s, and they've just left it as it is. It's like a shell, because the nuclear bomb exploded right above the town hall and it flattened everything. But the town hall skeleton of that building remains, and they've left it there just so everybody knows what nuclear war does. Zelensky flies in and he's going, oh, we need to get him a fucking room. So they've had to get him over to the Prince Hotel, and you can't see the Peace Park or the City Hall from there. So they're thinking, well, how are we going to get this message through if he's turned up? So you can just imagine them looking for some fucking B&B, Airbnb somewhere close to that town hall, so he can get a feel of it. But like I say, I think he'll be meeting with Biden. But he's going to be meeting with Biden, and it was Biden's country that bombed Japan. So he will be here, and I think he might be staying, a bit of sightseeing. So what I did was this morning, I went online, and because I don't know anything about Hiroshima. I don't know anything about Hiroshima. So what I've done is I went online this morning and I decided, right, let's find out what we can do. So 8 things to do in Hiroshima. The 8 things. I don't know why they're in 10. I don't know why they're in 5, but 8. Fucking 8. Why would you choose 8 things to do in Hiroshima? So, fucking hell. These 8 things that you can do in Hiroshima. So, the first one, you can go see Hiroshima Castle, which is a Japanese-style castle. You know, you've got the Japanese-style roof. It's a white castle, right? But it's only at the most it's 80-year-old, because that castle wouldn't have survived that bomb going off. So you're going to see something that's 80-year-old that were built in the 40s or the 50s. Anyway, it's built back to what it was. So that's one thing that you can go and see. Another thing, in Japan, when you walk into any sort of temple or religious place, there's a torii gate, and it's a big red gate, 2 big red posts and a kind of a roof over the top of the post, and you walk under it to walk into a religious building. Now, the one in Hiroshima is Miyajima. Now, Miyajima is the one that's in the sea. Super famous in Japan. So when you go down to Hiroshima, you go and see that. Now, the first one, the Hiroshima Castle, that's number 1. Two of the 8 choices is this Miyajima, so they've put it in twice. So that's 3 things that you can do in Hiroshima. 2 of them are the same fucking thing. 2 of them are the same thing. So that's how fucking boring it must be down there. So you've got the castle and the religious gate, which is number 2 and number 3. So I don't know, you know, do you go walk to it? Do you take a boat to it? But it's the same thing. It's not 2 different things. It's the same fucking thing. So obviously the big pull in Hiroshima is the city hall, the ruins of the city hall, and the Peace Park. So the Peace Park is just adjacent to the city hall, and I expect there'll be some flame that they've had burning since the nuclear bomb went off. There'll be some stuff in there. There'll be a museum. I'm sure it's very interesting. Is it interesting enough for that to fill 3 places in the 8 things to do in Hiroshima? So, Hiroshima Castle, that's one thing. Miyajima, the torii gate, that's 2 things, so that's 3. And then the Peace Park and the City Hall, that's 4, 5 and 6. That's 4, 5 and 6, all to do with a bomb. They're showing Zelenskyy right there, fucking bomb again. So, what are we up to now? We're up to 6 things to do in Hiroshima, but it's only 3 things. Now, the next 2 things, they are 2 things, it's not one thing made up as 2. So the next thing you can go and see is Shuken Garden, which is a Japanese garden, which looks fucking stunning on the internet. It's this peaceful Japanese garden where I suppose you would go in there and reflect after going to bomb site, have a sit down, some green tea, some Japanese sweets, and just sit and let it sink in. And it does look nice. You've got water features, little Japanese gardens that you can go, and little tea houses and stuff. And it does look nice. But that's coming in at number 7. And that's only the 4th activity. The castle, the bomb site, the torii gate, and the garden. That's 4 things, but it's down as 6. Okay. Now, the next thing is in Hiroshima. Hiroshima is one of these very, very small cities, but it's got a sports team that is batting, terrible analogy, it's batting way above its weight. And I'm just trying to think of a place in England. It's like Bournemouth. It's this little tiny town that has got this very, very successful team. And in Hiroshima, the successful team in Hiroshima is the Hiroshima Carp. The Hiroshima Carp. And it's a baseball team. And they always do really, really well. They're privately owned. They're not owned by a Japanese company. They're owned by one family. And they're very popular. They've got merch shops in Tokyo, the Hiroshima Carp. Anyway, that's down as number 7. So you can go and watch a baseball game. Now, I'm not sure, but I don't think baseball's popular in Ukraine. So I don't know if he's going to be up for that. And if he is, I was looking on fixtures and they're playing Anshin Tigers, and Anshin Tigers playing Osaka. So he's not going to be going to a game. He'll be, okay, fucking bomb site again. You've taken me around the museum, you've taken me to the thing, and I want to go and do something else. Joe, can we go watch a baseball game? I'm sorry they're not in town today. Oh, for fuck's sake. But they're back on Tuesday. They're playing the Nagoya Dragons, so we can go. They'll be gone then. He's going to be gone. Now, the 8th thing in the list of 8 things that you can do in Hiroshima smacks of just clutching at fucking straws. Just clutching at straws. And the thing that you can do in Hiroshima as an activity, as a sightseeing thing to do in Hiroshima, is visit Hiroshima Station. What the fuck? Is it that much of a boring town that you have guided tours of Hiroshima train station? Now, I've no idea the history of Hiroshima train station. I haven't. But there was a story that they said 3 or 4 days after the bomb had dropped on Hiroshima, they had trams running around town, which is a heartwarming story of the way that the Japanese just got on with it. And I would like to go and see if there's a museum in there. I would like to hear somebody tell me the full story of that tale that I heard. But to have it on your things to do in a city, visit Hiroshima Station, tells me there's not much going on down there. So I'm guessing the G7 summit finishes today. He's not going to be hanging about in Zelenskyy. He won't be hanging about. He's going to get off. He'll probably look around and go, well, there's fucking not much to do here. And get Macron. Come on, let's be getting on. I think he would prefer to get back to Kiev than just staying in Hiroshima. But what are they going to say to him? Is a nuclear attack on Kiev a good thing? I mean, they might flatten Kiev and then you could rebuild it, make it a pleasant little city to look at, just like Hiroshima is. But you're just going to be wiping everything out and replacing it with new. There's going to be no left. So it'll be interesting to see if he's going to go for peace. Because if you flatten any sort of city in the Ukraine, is it going to turn out to be as boring as fucking Hiroshima? So we'll see. Now, I've been so fucking busy this weekend that I've not had a chance to look at any kind of news. I've just been looking on my phone. And when I realised that it turned up, my wife was saying that everything in Japan, all the channels just stopped. And they filmed him coming off the plane, getting into limo, and getting into Hiroshima city centre. And with what I were reading today, he probably fucking saw it all as he went in. Because from the airport to where that hotel is, you've probably fucking seen it all. Unless he wants to stay for an extra few days, because that hotel does look like the fucking business. The fucking business. So maybe he might stay. Who knows? So this one's just a quick one today, because I'm still working. I've still got fucking shitloads to do tonight, and I've got to get an episode out. So here's the 100 double figures. I can't believe it. I cannot believe it that I've got to 100. I had the ups and downs. It's been 3.5 years, but this last few months I've been able to get one out every single week, and I'm going to try and keep it up. I'm doing a lot of travelling this summer, and I'm going to take my travel pack podcast, my smaller mics, my smaller recorders, and I'll be podcasting from road. So for them that have stuck with me when I've gone solo, thank you. For them that have been with me since day one, thank you. And I'm going to let the Beastie Boys take us out, because who better to celebrate with? Thank you, everybody. Keep downloading and subscribe, and I'll see you next week.